What's going on?
How's it going?
So tell me, who are you?
Christian Hodges. Christian Hodges.
What do you do?
I work for Dr. Ben Carson. Also the author of America Don't Give Up. Published that when I was 17.
Damn, 17 years old.
19 now. I just turned 19 a few days ago. But I also host the podcast America Don't Give Up. Had Tommy Lauren on last week. Alex Clark, Gorka, Eric from Texas, Nick Freitas, all the guys.
So tell me your story. Like, what is it that, like, I mean, got you into this? Like, what is it that you do on a daily level? Tell us all of it.
Yeah, so I really got into the book because the book came from my last high school project. I had to write a 20-page research paper in high school, and that paper turned into 70 pages. That 70 turned into the book. So my big goal then was to become an author before an adult, to publish my first book before I turned 18. So I graduated high school and then published a book the day before my 18th birthday. And then a week before I did that, Fox had reached out to me, invited me on. Ever since, we go on Fox, Newsmax, OAN, all the shows, basically every week now, radio shows, all talking about Gen Z. So that's what I'm talking about, getting Gen Z in the fight, but actually understand what they're fighting for.
What are they fighting for? What is going on with Gen Z? What is it important for them to understand?
Well, I think the better question is what should they be fighting for? Because they're all consumed with immaterial possessions, the latest iPhone, whether we should be using AirPods or not. But 5 things they should be caring about is one, globalism. Yeah. I think all of us would say, at least Reagan would say, that communism would be the destruction of America. Yeah. But today, I think it's globalism. None of us see the big picture, the big agenda behind it all. And that's what we're dying to see. Number 2 is something a lot of people are talking about here, RFK, is the poison in our food. They're trying to kill us. I was at the Senate roundtable the other day with RFK, Callie Means, Jordan Peterson, all of them. And I think Alex Clark really said it best for my generation. She said, who cares about politics if the next generation is dead or close to it by the time we could vote? So all the pesticides, all the GMOs that are in our food, we don't really even know about. We can't see, we don't taste them, but they're poisoning us. Thirdly, is really freedom of speech. We look across the globe, that's the number one right they're targeting. England, Australia, Canada, and the list goes on, but now they're doing it in America. And nobody thought they could do that. And fourthly, it has to be just AI. How are we actually going to harness AI? Are we going to use it for this? We're going to use it for that. I think what Elon Musk is doing for it is really beneficial. Because the biggest problem with AI is the programmers. Who dictates what it states?
Somebody was asking me yesterday, they're like, tell me what's the scary thing about AI. I'm like, the guy that programs it. Because whatever the guy programs it, then, that's where we end up. And if that person's anti-human, that thing better not be connected to nuclear missiles. And we've all seen Terminator 2. I saw it when I was a kid, and talk about a prophetic film,
Yeah, talk about a prophetic book in 1984. But it's playing out every single factor that we're seeing now. Then number 5, last but not least, would have to be really the lack of God in a godless society, but how we need to return to really preserve our freedoms. There's even known atheists, Elon, then Charles Darwin, all the guys, they're coming out and saying, we need a Christian society. Even though we may not like it, at this point, we need one. We need one.
Honestly, you got the people. I mean, look, you're a highly intelligent young man. It's very obvious. You got a high IQ. I like to think I have a high IQ. You know what I mean? We're here to, we have a certain discernment, but not all of us are like that. And you need, and people that might be of lower IQ, lower intelligence, need some kind of moral ground to stand on, because intellectual, you could be an intellectual and be an atheist. We've seen that, and still be a moral person. To be a lower IQ person, lesser intelligent, I hate to say it exists. There's a spectrum of, intelligence, and not have a moral compass. That's where you get into a lot of danger, in my opinion.
Oh, I think you're 100% right, and that's the Achilles heel of our culture. I mean, back in 1984, not the book, but the year. If we look at that, if we go to Russia, a journalist interviewed a member of the Russian cabinet at the time, and the journalist asked him, how would you take over America? And he didn't say we're going to invade them. We're going to take over their government. He said we're going to demoralize them. We're going to strip them of their morals and their values. And then once we do that, we're going to take over the education system. And then we're going to re-educate one or two generations. And then they don't no longer think as Americans. They think like Russians. They think the way we want them to think. They may be American by blood, American by birth, but they're not American by thought. And to preserve a country founded on freedom, you have to be American not just by blood, but by values, by patriotism, and by thought, which I don't know if we have that among Gen Z.
Why?
Education system.
But why do you have it? I mean, is it just you're like a researcher, you're somebody that's more intellectually curious?
I wouldn't say that I'm smarter than anyone else. I wouldn't say that's my greatest gift. I wouldn't say my intellect is the highest. But I would say I think for myself. I always want to know the why behind what we're doing. If my parents told me to do something, perhaps I would give them a bit of pushback and I'd ask them, why do you want me to do this? Understand, why do you want me to take out the trash? What's going to happen if I don't take out the trash? Oh, you're going to stink up the whole house to make it all smell bad? Oh, I probably should take out the trash then. But if you just told me to do this, I mean, you always want to rebel. As a young person, that's something you always want to do. So if you really want to reach young people today, tell them the why behind why they're doing it, and then perhaps they'll stick it to the man and stand up against communism.
Well, so what are you working on now? What are you up to?
I'm working on my second book. I'm also
19 years old, right? 19 years old, your second book.
19. The book is based off of those 5 points. Really looking forward and addressing, foreseeing the biggest issues a generation's going to have to face. It's not Guardians of the Galaxy, it's Guardians of the Future. If we don't get this right, what hope do we have?
So what are, like, all right, I do these things like future predictions, right? Give me some future prediction, and, you could do choose your own intervention. You could give me option 1, 2, 3. Where are we going, man?
Well, the fate of the world is decided in 37 days. 37 days from today. It's the road less traveled. We all know that poem. One road diverges into two. November 5th is the choice between Marxism, patriotism, communism, and freedom. And I don't know what's going to happen if we choose Kamala Harris. If Kamala Harris becomes the president on January 20th, 2025, if that happens, I'm not sure what happens. I'm not sure anyone has the answer to that. Ivan would be the best guy to talk to about that. You've had that episode, but Ivan continues to go back to that we haven't solved the root issue. That the first 4 years of Trump were used to expose the deep state, expose the corruption. The second 4 years has to be used to do something about it. To actually punish the people who are behind the destruction of the country. So if Trump is back in there, that's what he needs to do in 4 years. But if Trump isn't elected, I don't think we have more than 8 to 12 years left in the country. But
I personally, just to interject, I think we're I think we're already toast. This is not so much about I think right now Trump would be kind of let's put some wind back into this dead body and hope that something happens. But I don't know, man. I don't even know, dude. I think I give it I think a complete financial collapse within 6 months. But apologies, didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I think Trump's not the savior of the country, but he's the rudder that gets us back on the track. We have to do a full 180-degree U-turn ASAP, as fast as possible, as soon as possible, whether we drift around the corner or not. It doesn't matter. As long as we get back in the right direction. 4 years isn't going to save the country. 4 years will make our country better, like he wants to do. I don't know if it'll make our country great again. There's a lot more to be done. And just what we can do in 4 years. There's a whole lot that has to be done if we have any hope of my generation being Americans in 20 years.
Your generation, man. Give us dude, I'm so detached from what your generation is. I'm a Gen Xer. We used to think that we're a bunch of slackers. That's what they told us. And I don't even know, that might have been a psychological warfare. I'm realizing that our generation actually, the way we came up, I remember just kids were not so money oriented. People would help each other out. I started doing films when I was 16. Friends would help out people. And I look at this generation, it seems to be everybody's really, very materialistic, very much more so than we were. I mean, we were like Nirvana kids with flannel and shit. You know what I mean? We weren't like, it was almost like anti-money. Like we needed, like looking like shit was the privilege for us. Like really, look at, I mean, Kurt Cobain, that's the era I'm from. You know what I mean? That's when I came of age. Tell me about your generation.
Well, Gen Zers were born between the year 1997 2012. So a 15-year period. I was born in 2005. So that tells you right there. But you're completely right that my generation's super material. That all we care about is instant gratification, because we're the first. We're called digital natives. They call us Zoomers, digital natives, because we're the first generation to be born fully immersed into technology. I mean, millennials, once they got to the age like 8 or 10, they had tech. But my generation, as soon as we're born, computers were already out. We started using it. And now we see with Gen Alpha, they have phones at 40 years old nowadays, something crazy like that. But if you want to reach Gen Z before the election, we're not going to solve the generational crisis that we have going on in 37 days. That's going to take perhaps 10 years, 15 years to turn that around. But we have to lean into not their weaknesses per se now, of instant gratification, of going to where they are. It's the Charlie Kirk method of reaching young people. He goes to college campuses, he sets a table up, they all flock to him. So he throws himself right in the middle of the chaos. Social media is the new public forum. It's no longer on the street corner. It's no longer even going to a concert. It's on social media. So if you want to reach them, throw yourself onto social media, create the platform, and they'll come to you eventually. But you have to use the things that are trending. I have an episode coming out tomorrow night on my podcast called Winning Trends equals Winning Gen Z. Winning Trends equals Winning Gen Z. I actually talked with Morgan McMichael. She was in here a few minutes ago about that, and how I think conservatives are scared to touch what's trendy because they don't want to be just in the current. But the current is where majority of my generation is. So if you want to pull them out, you want to save my generation, jump into the current, be a lifeguard, and pull us out with facts, with logic, and teach Gen Z to ask the right questions and then think for themselves.
Morals in terms of your generation. Tell us a little bit about your morals. Anecdotes. Give us some texture. The reason I asked is I watch shows like Fresh and Fit. Is this body count culture, this like just promiscuity, like just ridiculous to the point of like gluttony. You know what I mean? And I say gluttony like I truly believe that if you do anything in excess, whether it's drinking water, whether it's doing drugs, sex, food, whatever, in excess, it's gluttony, it's bad, it's destructive to you, and you're really doing it to mask other things because it's not normal behavior. You know what I mean? You tell me as you're, belonging to this generation, thoughts?
I don't think morals can really exist without religion. It's hard to do that. And if we look at my generation, we'll say it bluntly, we're the least religious generation in history. I think only 13% would say that they attend church weekly. But I actually saw a new survey yesterday that came out. I forget who it came out by on Twitter. But it said that young men, they're not only more conservative than they have been in the last 40 years, but they're leading women to come to church.
Good, because honestly, bro, like some of the stuff I hear is like, I mean, it's worse than prostitution. I'm sorry. At least prostitutes are smart enough to get paid for it. You know what I mean? Sorry. You know what I mean? We're talking about lesser of two evils right now. It's still evil, right? But, I mean, it's shocking that, like, the men need to be the leaders. I'm actually happy to hear that, dude.
They should be the leaders. We've lost that philosophy because of feminism. I mean, feminism is the reason why we have promiscuity across the board among men and women.
By the way, as a dude that, I'm in my like 40s and stuff, now I'm seeing the tail end of feminism, which is now, a lot of women that went through that lifestyle. Yes, they didn't have babies, so they're well kept. They still look young. They're still attractive. Mentally, though, I'm realizing that like most of the women I've dated, and I've looked at statistics, by the way, where they say something like more than half of liberal women have mental health issues, literally, right? And I look at I look at like really like what they are in terms of their mental health, and it's really freaking scary because I have not met. And this is literal, by the way. I have not met a woman that lived the feminist lifestyle as it's advertised that doesn't suffer from depression or mental illness once they're in their 40s. And the older they get, they just fall apart. And I'm talking about suicide calls. I'm talking about they don't want to live anymore because they realize they lived a life that was like really just not a virtuous life. What's your point of view on that topic?
Well, you're seeing that among your generation. It's catching up to them at 40. It's not catching up to my generation. It is my generation today at 16, at 18, at 20. It's hard to find a woman who doesn't believe in feminism or hasn't felt the effects of it by believing it. They've been sold the lie of birth control, and it's only destroyed their fertility. Alex Clark was just talking about that at the Senate roundtable. But let's put it this way. Let's say it bluntly. The easiest way to beat the other side. There's one easy way.
Example.
They're destroying their future generations by marrying the same sex. They can't reproduce with the same sex. They're destroying their future generations by cutting off their genitals. They can't produce then, but all they do is have babies.
So they're basically committing a holocaust. They're suiciding themselves. They're committing a holocaust upon themselves.
Suicide. They're committing generational suicide. It's a simple solution. Have kids, get married, have kids. And women aren't wanting that. Is the problem. And women control the key to sex. Then we see what Bill Gates is doing with the global agenda. And he wants to depopulate America, not even America, but the world as a whole. He wants less people, but he doesn't just want less people. He only wants the people he wants. He doesn't want us to be here because we think for ourselves. We don't give it to Bill Gates to do exactly what he says. Those are the people he wants. Those are the people they want to keep around. So I don't know what they're doing with the LGBTQ, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever the community is nowadays, what they're doing with that whole community, because at the end of the day, those are the people they want to vote for them. They're not thinking for themselves, but they're leading them to commit generational suicide.
So somebody told me a story about Adolf Hitler. I hadn't heard this story before. So apparently he took all the LGBTQ folks, and one of the reasons they created those SS uniforms to look so fashionable was apparently because all the gays liked it, right? And so I don't know if this is even true. Somebody told me on a podcast, I'm like, are you serious? This is a real story. Why don't they teach us in history books? But as we know, they don't teach a lot of things in history books, right? So he tells me that basically Hitler takes all the gay people, creates Hugo Boss uniforms for them, so all they want to get dressed, uses them as tools to get rid of the competition, then says, hey, we're going to have a big party to celebrate getting rid of the competition, and he literally kills everyone. It's called the Night of the Long Knives, I think. Kills everyone, kills the entire LGBTQ community overnight. Firstly, I don't know if that's a true story. Probably is. Thoughts?
I've never heard of that, but I don't think I'd put it past Hitler. And
like useful idiots, what Stalin called, basically.
Yeah, basically. But you know who people have been calling stupid lately, or one person's been calling stupid lately? Kamala Harris said bluntly that my generation is just stupid. And that's who my generation wants to vote for this cycle. Yet she's the only one calling us stupid, and Trump's out there trying to lower the prices so we can actually have a life, so we can beat the other side by having a family. So I'm not quite sure why my generation, I don't even know if they could name a reason why they voted for Kamala.
It's called psychological warfare and brainwashing.
Oh, PRs control media slots. Yeah. I mean, I broke into media by accident. I didn't go into it trying to get on. I've never hired a PR firm to try to get me on. I go on when they invite me on, or I make friends with them and get on that way. But I've talked to PR firms, and I want to figure out the business. So one place I talked to tried to charge me $10,000 a month to get me on once a week. Wow. So if this is what people are doing to get on TV, I'm going on for free just because people like me. I mean, that was a rude awakening for me. I never heard of anything like that, but now I know the business. And I had a Fox News host on my show a few weeks ago talking about how 95% of the media coverage of Kamala is positive. I think it's 93% of Trump's coverage is negative. So we see the obvious propaganda right there.
Wow, man. I think we're looking at, the honestly, bro. You got a great future ahead of you. As long as you make the right choice in the woman, that's the one thing that'll really destroy you. I'll tell you right now. I know a lot of great men that were destroyed by making the wrong choice in a woman. Make sure you make that choice well, because Lord willing, you make the right choice. You find a good Christian woman. I mean, we might be looking at future president, future CEO. I don't know what, but I see that you're gonna have a very bright future. As long as that one little thing, man, one little thing, it's all about the right kind of woman. So thank you so much. Social media, anything you want to say, last words?
Yeah, you can go to americadon'tgiveup.com, find my podcast, the book. The podcast is on Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find it. You follow me on Instagram, Twitter. It's at Christian Hodges, and then the first I in Christian is a number 1.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Christian, man. We really appreciate you, and for all you out there, thank you for joining us for this latest episode of Blood Money on the America Happens Network. I will see you all on the next episode.